We had three actually very informative what you say interventions. We do have a couple of questions. I do, but I would like to give the floor first to our speakers here, our guests in the room, Dr. Asma. Of course, Dr. Rahina won't ask, but she can ask, of course, Mr. Abdul Karim and Miss Aisha and Dr. Jackie, Sheikh Fahmi. If any one of you have a question or a remark, so you're more than welcome, of course.
Anyone? Yes, yeah. You have a question? Okay, yeah. There should be another mic.
Yes, she's somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I can ask Mr. Abdul Karim if he's still there. Is he still there?
Please see if he. Oh, yeah, he's there.
Okay, so Mr. Abdul Karim, can you hear us?
I can go ahead.
Yes, I can.
Yes, thank you very much for your very good intervention. And you talked about Maryam Alimo, and I've heard that she runs a marriage academy in Nigeria. I wanted to ask you because, you said something very nice, that no laws and contracts can save a marriage where respect, truth, and compassion are missing. And we have got many verses in the Holy Quran, like وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُم مَّوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. So as long there is no compassion and love, no contract ever will do anything to make that marriage successful. My question is that at this academy, is it institutional? Is it an NGO? Is it organizational based? Or what exactly? You also talked about the reception data includes half of Faith, BBC Hausa, Mufti Menka. I needed to know a little more about this, and whether is it related to courses given to women and girls only, or is it a marriage counseling center too? So both men and women, wives and husbands can go for any reconciliation purposes or even counseling purposes. So this is my question. Is it an NGO? Is it related anyway by the government, for example, by a ministry, a social solidarity ministry, for example, in Nigeria, or what?
Thank you so much for the wonderful questions. Regarding your first question, I think it is after her YouTube series, and her maybe face-to-face engagements with the society, that it became evident the need for such courses. As I mentioned, some few comments from the series Half of Faith, people were requesting for more structured sessions, premarital counseling. So it's not supported or in alignment with any governmental projects, as far as I know. It's online platform providing premarital counseling. And of course, she engages with the community, with the society through different platforms. And sometimes organizations can invite her to give such sessions to promote awareness couples and among young people. So to that question, it's not organizational, it's not supported by the government. Yeah, it's not institutional.
Yeah.
As for the videos, as I've touched upon the question briefly, they're on YouTube. Almost all have videos, except the ones on the platform. Those ones are private, and they serve the purpose of primary counseling. And if you need more personalized or engagement with her upon request, that is also possible. But the videos, some of them are thematic, like Half of Faith, and some are more focused on women, because they seem to show more interest in her intervention and the need for premarital counseling than men, based on the analyzed comments, of course.
Okay.
20% were female and 20% were men. I hope that answered the question.
Yes, it does. So most of the premarital counseling would be done by the girls. They will be the one who will be seeking the counseling more than males.
Yes.
So that bring me to the next question to Dr. Rahina, because she was saying that 2 of every 3 men has more than a wife, 2 wives or 3.
That was
So
my-
which wife
yeah.
will be going for counseling?
Northern Nigeria, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
which wife will be going for counseling?
You,
All the wives?
so in the counseling that Dr. Mariam Lemu does is of course, before the marriage. So the new wife, obviously.
Yeah, so there will be a new wife anyway.
Yes.
Even if the wife is second or third, she will be a new wife. So it's
Yeah.
open for her. So that means, this brings me to another point that the Muallima Zainab,
Yeah.
when she was saying that the wife is the one who's responsible for a successful house or for a
Yes.
successful marriage. So no problem that she can say sorry, she can apologize, she can forgive,
Yeah.
she can be beaten.
Yeah.
No problem. Yani, for example, though this is not religious.
Yeah, so if I can jump in, they're not saying that, for a husband to be abusive, it's okay. They try to, I mean, in many instances, they mention like quickly, like, oh, if we look at the prophetic house, look at the example of the Prophet ﷺ, look at how he treated his wives, but that's like briefly, and then move
Yeah.
to the responsibility of it. But even if the husband is not doing it, as a woman you should study your man, you should do this, you should do that, you should know how to keep the harmony. Putting again
Mhm.
a bigger responsibility.
Maybe this is compatible with the society in Nigeria.
Yes, so
That's why she's doing so, because the mindset of women there will accept this narration more than any other thing, maybe.
So this is interesting. So not only the men as well, it's this is difficult because I'm also trying to to understand it, but I can say it safely. I think it's a patriarchal society, clearly, but it's not only the men that produce that patriarchy, but it's also the women, of course,
Yes.
that are participating in it. But at the same time, I want to be careful not to say that, as I have said, that the women are passive, or they don't even know what they are doing. So, many are unhappy with the situation. They are trying to push the boundary, but at the same time, it's clear that the constraint, is there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So this comes to the question that you asked me in the first session, that about the authority, that not simply whether women have authority, but what kind of authority they have. So I believe that the context is very important to actually limitize that, or to name or to title that kind of authority. So the authority given to women in Nigeria might be different than the authority given to women in Egypt, for example. And the roles and the duties and the obligations and the expectations from women are different too. I believe in Egypt, for example, according to the very new law that will be enforced soon, that the women have to write a permission to her husband, not a verbal permission, but a written permission, so that he can be allowed to have a second marriage. And that usually doesn't happen. Usually no wife will ever agree that she will be a second wife. Never.
When it's a law
Yeah, it's a law now.
when it's written,
Yeah.
somewhat has impact on
Yes.
because it's there in Morocco. It's been since the Mudawana,
Mhm.
the reform. But as you said, like nobody would
Yes,
it's
definitely.
halal, like nobody
Yeah.
would
I'm sure that they will seek another way, the men,
Yes.
to do the thing, but at least the law is protecting it.
I believe North Africa is ahead because we have a king, an emir in northern Nigeria called Sarki Sunusi. We wanted to have him here. Yeah, so he's trying to have northern Nigeria copy the Mudawana. And it's interesting. I was part of a conference that we were writing about Islamic law with regard to marriage and marital issues. And the scholars from Morocco were saying that the Mudawana is not good enough But those of us writing from Nigeria are like, oh, we want to have something, like the Mudawwana. So I'm glad you said that, when it comes to the authority, it's clear that the authority that, the women have in Egypt or in Morocco might be more than, the authority that, and it
Different.
seems so, yeah.
It seems
Yes,
that
or
it's
even,
different. It's
yeah.
not even religious based. It might be cultural based.
Yes.
Yes, and that's the reason that what might be acceptable in Nigeria will never be accepted in America, in Egypt, in Pakistan, in India, etc. So it is different, and that's why I always say that we can't say that there is a base for each and no one answer is always correct. There might be multiple answers which is correct according to each and every context.
I'm sorry, doctor. Nowadays,
Yes, of course.
women love to have the last word all the time.
The last or the first?
The last word.
Yes.
Can I follow up with something really quickly? It seems to me that if women are the ones that are going for marriage counseling and only women, they are then responsible for both their morality and the morality of their husbands.
Yeah, that's what Dr. Rahina
Absolutely.
explained, which I believe it's such a big burden on her.
Yeah,
She's
that's-
responsible for the success, and if it's not
The
successful,
failure.
the failure too.
Yeah.
She's responsible for both.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not. No one, a hand doesn't clap alone. You have to clap with both hands. So that's why we
Absolutely.
both.
Hunna libasul lakum wa antum
Exactly.
libasul lahunna, right? That's the.
So this is not religious.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, so I
It's-
believe that we need, some religious reforms in this, I believe, context. But, Muallima Zainab and Juwayriya,
Juwayriya.
yes, they are doing a good job, but not always being the one who is, maf'ul bihi
Yeah.
is the solution, because I believe that the women in the coming ages will be very much different. They're gonna have the last and the first word, as long as it's correct. My third question to Ms. Aisha was, she was talking about the challenges, and there is clash of values and beliefs, and that moral guidance from women differs from the moral guidance from men. And sometimes it's acceptable. It's more acceptable if given by women in a few cases. Can you, Ms. Aisha, give me an example? For example, this means that the females who are seeking counseling in some issues will accept it more if the preacher or wa'iza or the one who's talking to her is a female than a male? Yeah, she is online, Ms. Aisha.
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
Aisha, can you hear us?
I'm sorry. I opened my speaker. Aisha, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Did you hear the question from Dr. Iham?
No, ma'am.
Okay, maybe you.
Shall I repeat it again? Okay,
Yes,
so Ms. Aisha, my question was that you mentioned that the moral guidance, when given by female preachers, when given from women, it differs from the guidance given from men. So is it better? Is it more acceptable when it's given by women to women, or what's the case exactly in your intervention?
Okay, a moral guidance given by women to women is more because women knows the challenges that fellow women face. So they understand their challenges, they understand their problem, and they can talk to them openly. They can advise them so that they can take their advice easily than that of a male preacher.
Okay, so it's more successful.
Yes, it's more successful.
So once again, we come back to Dr. Rahina when she said in the first session, is this authority really applicable? It is happening, so it is happening. So the people are really receiving it more positively from a female preacher, for example. Then that's where we say that the role that women and female preachers and wa'idat, muftiyat, whatever the name is, because this is not what matters, is a great role of great importance. According to what's happening today in this world, that we can sometimes, we used to say that even a female will never go to a gynecologist who is a female like her. You know, a woman gynecologist. Though such a, for example, a private thing, it's so much related that she will go to a female gynecologist, but things are changing. I guess that now even men prefer going to dentists who are women, to dermatologists who are female doctors. And I guess that even, you know, the trust in female gynecologists is increasing. So it's according to متطلبات العصر, as they say. So for the time being, I guess that the role of women in the context of preaching and the religious discourse is great all over the world. We have been talking about northern Nigeria. Tomorrow we'll be talking about Al-Azhar in Egypt. We will be focusing more about as I said, the Egyptian contexts. So we'll be hearing more about this. Thank you very much for everyone who spoke, but I want to finish. But yes, my questions have come to an end. But now is Dr. Asma, please.
Yeah. Can I have
Shukran. I have a question for both the last two presenters. So can you briefly again tell us the methodology of your research and your limitations? I mean, for you and Dr. Aisha.
The methodology of the research?
Yes, because I heard Miss Aisha talking about her focus groups, and I'm curious to know how did that go, and any limitations of your study, both of you.
Okay, I guess I can start. Yeah, thank you so much, Asma. So so in terms of my methods of gathering data, what I have been doing for a long time is what I think can be called, you know, it's an ethnography. So I'll go to the field, I will do a lot of active participation, you know, be with the women, you know, go to halaqat, go to, you know, preaching, you know, sermons, go do activities with them. I mean, I had years where I was even the one, you know, I will be the one organizing the activities. So that's how I gather a lot of my data. And I do a lot of interviews. You know, I'm like, my life now has turned into, I'm laughing. Like, I will be in the middle of a normal conversation, but I'm gathering data. Like, this is something I'm like, wait, I'm writing. I'm either asking for permission to record. So that's, you know, I'm always gathering. And then I do a lot of, you know, phone calls, you know, video calls, you know, if I want to follow up. So that's how I gather my data, if that's the methodology you were asking about. So in terms of and then in terms of my data analysis, it's just multifaceted. I do, you know, a little bit of everything. You know, when it comes to the analysis, I use theories, you know, from, you know, feminist scholars. I use sociologists like Pierre Bourdieu, for instance, a French sociologist. I use him in my study of women reciters. So that's, you know, who I usually have, you know, I base my analysis. And what else did you ask? Limitations, right? Oh my God. So I would say, so limitation in terms of my analysis, not in terms of, so of course, in terms of data collection as well, I'm an insider, but at the same time, an outsider. So, you know, since the time I left Nigeria and was a graduate student in Europe and then came here. So sometimes, you know, I had instances where people viewed me with like suspicion, like, oh, this is a Western agent, you know, here to, you know, send on a mission. So that sometimes can, but I don't think it has ever limited me in terms of the data I was able to gather. But in terms of analysis, I try to not be, because it's something that, you know, is personal to me too. So, you know, I try to distance myself, yes, to be. So sometimes it can get emotional. Sometimes I can get, you know, too deep into it. And, you know, I don't want to be, I mean, I know at the end of it, you know, there's no way I cannot be subjective, right? I don't even think like objectivity exists anymore, but you know, I try. So I think those are, yeah. Yeah, so that's what I will say. And Aisha, you can, yeah, if you have.
Dr. Rahina, you mentioned that there are many cases right now who are not accepting the second marriage. Before, they used to live in separate house. If the person is rich, for example, he can afford a separate house or even a separate,
Yeah.
you can say a wing in the
Yes,
house,
wing.
okay, for the wife. But you're saying that the mindset is changing.
Yes, it
So,
is. Yeah.
so have you done any case study in the past year, for example, that's the reason that you have come to this result?
Yes, I mean, I have lived in it too, like in addition to doing, I was in a marriage where I was a second wife and I had to fight to have, my separate living, place. Yes, so it's changing, I would say. So again, this is something I don't have the numbers for. I would say even though it's changing, still many more women live in the settings that my mother, has lived and is still living, and my aunts and, the generation before me. So just, one compound and wife with a room and, children, for instance, girls have one room, boys have one, so that kind of setting. And the wives are sharing, bathrooms and kitchens. So still, I would say many more women are living in that situation, and sadly they are unhappy in that situation. But women that have university education, they do their best to resist that, and they see if there's a way they can at least have a separate wing, as you put it. It does not always happen. We are still not at the place where women can put that into the contract, unfortunately. Because even though, as I said, in Islamic jurisprudence, you see that the room is there since, it's aqd, right? Aqd nikah. It's a contract. So a woman can say, I'm putting this.
Yes.
Still, you see a lot of backlash. So what I was trying to say is, if one of the preachers I talk about, let's say, Malama Zainab or Malama Juwairia, if she will come publicly, even if I don't know what they think about, what their position on that is, and I'm assuming they are already in, a co-wife situation. So if one of them will come publicly and say that, women, this is what Islamic jurisprudence says, and I believe you have the right to put that, term into that contract, I believe a lot of backlash will happen.
Yes.
And people will, will attack them. So they don't say that publicly. And then, because there's no way we can like put it there and maybe even go to the Sharia courts and argue that this is our right. So even the men that promise verbally before the marriage that, I promise if you marry me, you will have your separate place, for instance, they end up breaking that promise after, the wife has a child or two, they'll say, I can't afford it anymore. So I'm putting you together again, with my other wives.
Yeah.
So
maybe the society is not prepared even now for someone like, for example, Muallima Rahina can go and talk about such things, maybe even publicly it won't be accepted. So the public has to be prepared, and I guess that it will be not very wise if someone just go and jump and talk about such thing right now.
Yeah.
Because it will get, as you said, negative, reviews much more than any the positive ones.
Yeah.
Sheikh Fahmi.
Yeah.
Someone texted you a question on the Zoom. Can you check the Zoom?
Yeah, we have Molofo. She wants to, Dr.
I understand.
Yeah, she has a question, I believe.
My question, this is by Ahmed Mustafa to Dr. Rahina, is that I heard that Nigerian culture of polygamy is because the multi-religious tradition with almost half of the society is Christian. And since a female Muslim cannot marry non-Muslims, so they accept this culture. Is that true? And how can we see this culture in the lenses of Islamic law?
So should I go ahead or we take the other questions as well? Yeah, it's for me. Okay, should I?
Yes, this is for you, please.
So I'm not sure I understand what is he saying that because it's a multi-religious society, that's why we have polygyny?
Yes.
Is that what?
No, that
Women have less choice because
that a Muslim, a female Muslim cannot marry non-Muslim man, so they accept this. They have to accept it. Even if they do not, agree, they accept.
I don't think that because there are enough Muslim men. Yeah, it's a so
It's culture.
yeah. I don't think
he's saying this, that how can we see this culture in the lens of Islamic law?
I don't think the reason why women have to accept this is because they cannot marry non-Muslim men. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't see it. I think they are two separate things. It's just a, polygamous culture or polygyny. I believe yeah.
Religiously, it's obvious شيخ فهمي وإن خفتم أن تعدلوا فواحدة.
I'd love to add something about the marriage in general. It's not just a contract.
Yes.
The contract is part of the relationship just to organize the rights and duties and that stuff. But actually, when we're going back to the Quran and how the Quran talks about marriage, Allah says, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا. Number one, لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا. So the first relation or the first pillar to have a successful relationship or a successful marriage is a second. Second,
Tranquility.
like whom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tranquility.
Yeah, tranquility, comfortable, being comfortable with each other. And then after that, وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. So if it's three pillars for the successful marriage, it's second, mawadda. If you can say about mawadda, the good relationship or the whatever.
Affection.
Yes, and mercy.
Mercy.
Yeah.
Yes. So when we're talking about marriage, we're not just talking about the contract. This is concept number one. Concept number two, the marriage is part of the culture of each nation. So even if they are Muslims, Islam comes to organize the life and help the people to live, not to force them to go through one direction. Islam works in Nigeria and in Egypt and in America. Islam is flexible. So no way to judge Islam because of the local culture. If the people in Nigeria, if they're happy through practicing such different way, such a specific way in their marriage, which it's okay. If the people in Egypt, if they're happy when they're practicing their relationships in general and marriage is part of it, which it's okay. Going to or trying to judge Islam because of the practicals or because of the activities of groups or parties of people here and there, it's not right. Number three, these, my opinion, writing in the contract or in the marriage license or whatever, this condition and that adding more conditions, honestly, it's not going to solve the problem. It's not solutions anymore. Because actually, Dr. Rehan mentioned that. If they're looking for something, they will get solution. They will try to get it. And even in anywhere, some countries, they have very strict conditions for getting or giving the marriage license, but the people they're traveling to somewhere to do what they would love, and you all know that, right? Right. So we have to try to get solutions and to solve the problems. The problems we have to educate both of the parties, the man and the woman. We have to educate them. We have to elevate the rank in the knowledge. We have to help them to learn what they have to do in their life. Practicing the marital is very important. Help them to learn the kids' rights and how they have to educate their kids to take care of them, and try to make them busy with the important actions in the community. As most likely, and unfortunately nowadays, most likely the people, everyone is thinking about himself, being selfish, and think about how much it can enjoy, how much, and actually the media, the social media, and everything around us is feeding or increasing these ideas in the minds of the people nowadays. But to going back, try to be understand as we part of the big society, the big community. I have many roles to play. I'm a husband, but actually I'm a dad, and I'm a son for my parents. Where's my parents and my plan and my weekly map? Where's my parents? Where's my kids? Where's my community? Where's my ummah? Where's my education? Where is developing myself and learning more new skills? If the people thinking and learning and getting educated, I think this is what could help to solve the problem. Add more conditions as you love.
What if we miss some conditions? What if individuals miss some conditions?
By the way, to be honest, based on the fiqh or jurisprudence in Islam, the marriage contract is very simple. And all of the stuff after or behind or next to the ijab and qabul and shuhud and mahr, these are the pillars of the valid marriage license or contract. Everything comes behind, it's not part of the contract. Islamically, it's not part of the contract, except if the country or the whatever Congress or the Parliament authorized a law and asked everyone, you have to use this form. But even if he used the form and if he wrote it and if he signed it, the first part is the marriage. Each parts or each conditions comes after, it's not part of the marriage. يقولون بالعربية شروط تابعة. It's conditions and it comes later and it's not part of the valid.
Does it not apply? Does it not apply if if terms are added?
Even if he accepted and he actually he signed.
Yeah.
What does it mean? The marriage valid. And if he practiced or if he did something against the conditions, the marriage is still valid.
Yeah.
This is a point. But maybe the judge can take him to the prison. It's something different.
Yeah, according to some new laws, they are going to apply this. For example, in Egypt, that after 6 months, the wife came to know that her husband he was dishonest about a few things. For example,
actually, we have it. Actually, a doctor in Egypt.
Yes.
Now, since years back, we have a law in Egypt, and this law asked or forced each husband, if you're going to get second or third married, you have to inform your first wife.
Yeah.
And he has to do it himself. And the judge or the one he is performing nikah, he has to inform the first wife.
Yeah, and I'm talking about something else. This is something new, which hasn't been, I won't talk a lot about it right now because it's not yet applied.
So questions for you later.
Okay.
Now I see that.
Yeah, we are running out of time. Yes, and
raise it.
yeah, and we have got a raised hand here from Mafola Ajay. Mafola, would you like to say your question out loud? You have written it here, but if you would like to say it out loud.
Yes, thank you. Hello, everybody. Thanks for your presentations. Very enlightening, but also raising some questions. My question may be directed at Dr. Rahima, Professor Rahima, or any other person on the panel. So, like I said, I understand that change takes a lot to happen, particularly if they are considered tradition, and especially if they are rooted in religion. So, but I understand also, I think it was Professor Rahima who said agency, Muslim women preachers have agency, but with limitation. And it's that limitation that I'm questioning. How does that affect patriarchy? How does it move our society forward, even as we observe our religious practices? Especially the quote that she gave, agency is not in the form of resistance. So if agency is not the form of resistance, why are women complaining in private? They're constrained, in complaining in public, but they see this sense of injustice, unfairness, where, as has been, I think it was the lady Abdullahi who said, anyway, that's a double burden on women. They have to maintain this, they have to observe this, everything is on them. So are women not being made complicit in their own injustice? How do we deal with this? That's what I'm looking for. How do we deal with this?
Yeah, very true.
Okay.
Yeah, so Ms. Mafula, where are you from?
She's from
Oh.
Nigeria.
Nigeria
Okay, so, yes,
and
yes.
southern Nigeria, and not a Muslim.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
jump in.
Yes, Ms. Dr. Rahina, please.
Thank you so much, Professor Ajay. I wish I love your questions and I wish I have answers for them. So I didn't say that agency does not, at least that's not what I meant to say. I didn't mean to say that agency does not come in form of resistance. But what I was trying to say is actually I thought many years ago that agency only has to come in the form of resistance. But then I read Sabah Mahmood. And then I understood that it helped me understand that agency can come in different forms. And to understand, the position of the woman I'm studying, so it makes sense to me to understand their agency as coming in, the form of inhabiting the norms they find themselves in. So that's what I was, trying to say. Of course, it can come in the form of resistance, but it doesn't mean that, at least according to my understanding of Sabah Mahmood, when we don't see agency in the form of resistance, it doesn't mean that the agency is not there. It can be there, but in a different form. So in terms of the constraints, as I said, the Muslim female preachers, they have authority, but on the one hand, on the other hand, the authority is constrained. And I think your question was, how do we maybe do away with that, constraint, with the limitation, to, at least hopefully, push the society forward? Sadly, I don't have the answer to that. I wish I know, that's what I keep thinking about. So I'm happy that the visibility is there. I'm happy, anytime I see, women on the podium, I see women leading tafsir circles, I see women leading halaqat, I see female teachers. It makes me very happy. But then at the same time, when in private we discuss themes that, at least for now cannot be publicly discussed. So then I get worried, like, okay, how do we push the boundary? A lot has been done, but how do we, continue to move the society forward? And I think one of the things that, I don't know if you are familiar, Professor Ajay, with Sarki Sunusi Lamido, the current emir of Kano. So one of the things he tried to do, I guess, like push, the constraints through legal ways, through writing a bill, and wanted to have the bill passed in, Kano State, taken from the Moroccan Mudawana and, other legal sources. But unfortunately, that was not possible. And now Sheikh Fahmi is saying that, even if we, for instance, like add terms to, the act, that the contract, that wouldn't even solve the problems, which, I agree with you, to large extent, that I think, because it's not, I don't know how to put this, right. It's not terms and conditions that make a marriage. We can sit down and have 100 pages of rules, but we are human, right? So when the husband and wife, it has to come from the heart, or else it won't work.
Exactly.
Let me say, I hear its case. Actually, a sister, she is forcing her husband to get married, a second wife, and he is refusing. Yeah, maybe you can say, oh, it's dream. No, I saw something like that. Maybe because he loves her, maybe because any reason. But it's, yes, terms or conditions doesn't make the successful life.
Yeah, of course, too.
Just,
To round up, sadly, I don't have an answer for you. I don't know how to, continue to push the limitations, but I'll keep thinking about it. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. I believe that agency will never come from resistance, but it will come from knowledge, and that you know your rights and obligations, what you have to do and what you have not to do, your boundaries, and how much both should respect and should know that they have to make this marriage successful, and that's why they got married. This is the only way out. It can't be unsuccessful. And that's why no one should actually move to the step of marriage until he knows that he can do this and get tied to the sacred bond, because it's sacred, both religiously and even socially, I believe. Concluding, it has been a wonderful panel here. Thank you, Mr. Abdul Karim, Dr. Rahina, and Ms. Aisha. It was lovely and very insightful. Thank you very much. And after half an hour, we'll be moving to our third and last panel of this day. Thank you very much.